Hello, wonderful, wonderful break-free medicine friends. It has been a while and I've missed you. I wanted to jump back on and do a little bit of a recap of what I've been writing about and deep diving into for the past, oh my goodness, 3 months, March, April, May, June, almost 4 months that we've been dealing with this major crisis. It's been a little hectic in healthcare for a little bit, so I haven't got on the videos in a little while, but I do want to get back and reconnect with you because I think it's important, and I love reading your comments and having you share and write in about topics that you'd like to hear more about. So I want to kind of go over, I've been writing a lot about using essential oils in mental health because I feel like we're paying so much attention and people are so hyper-vigilant right now about their physical health and what they can do and washing their hands. And if you're watching this in another time, we're through the COVID crisis, or we are going through the COVID crisis currently. And right now people are kind of re-emerging, we're getting back out there in various states, and there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of surges in mental health issues. And if you already were kind of on the brinks of experiencing some instability or some struggling with staying emotionally even keel and balanced, this definitely triggered a lot of people. And for that reason, I really have been focusing a lot on using different modalities to really calm our brain and our nervous system down. And if you think about it, with every thought, there is a physiological response. And that's why it's so important for me to start at the root cause. And I feel a lot of physical modalities, physical expressions of the body can be traced to emotional components. And, you know, not that there isn't physiological things going on that need to be addressed, and definitely can be addressed through various integrative methods, whether they be through supplements, proper medication properly applied, essential oils, which I love, mind body techniques. There's different areas that can address the physical body, but if we ignore this connection, right, and we're actually seeing a physiological connection between our gut and our brain with the microbiomes in our bellies that affect our parasympathetic nervous expression, the calming expression through the way that those microbes interact with that vagus nerve, right, which is kind of the big nerve that goes up through our body and connects various organ systems. So what I wanted to do is kind of compile that all, because I have a bunch of different articles on this, and a lot of it is focused on essential oils. And essential oils at their simplest level seem like maybe too good to be true, right? Because you smell an aroma, and I'm touting all these wonderful benefits, physiological, psychological, and even functional aspects of the brain. And that is because our sense of smell has a direct response. It goes directly to the amygdala and the emotional centers of our brain to actually help our body calm down, right? Because when we're in fight or flight, we get brain foggy, we can't think straight, and stress can make us literally stupid, right? So what the essential oils do is they help us rebalance. They actually, studies have shown they affect neurotransmitter modulation, right? They affect the brainwave patterns, so that different focusing can occur on the electrophysiological level. We've seen people measure EEGs and brain patterns. Essential oils can affect that. We've seen how they can provide antioxidants and different molecules that help provide physiological changes to the brain all at once. So we have the impact of the aroma, which affects our emotional aspect, as well as these physiological properties or molecules inside the essential oils that also impact our physiology and our brain functioning and electrophysiology. So it seems simple. It seems like, oh, just this, woo-woo, hokey-pokey, aromatherapy, calming, relaxing massage. That's great. But it's way more complex than that. And I've done, various videos on mental health and essential oils in the past, and I'll link to one of the main summaries for this in the video description. And I'm also going to discuss how there's been different blends of essential oils that we can use. We can actually take different properties that affect the physiological aspects of stress or what happens when our body's in a fight or flight response, and use different essential oils in specific blending patterns to help modulate those responses, right? So I did several articles on single oils for anxiety and stress. Okay, so if we just look at single essential oils, one of my favorites and one of probably the most universal is the lavender essential oil. And they have done studies with lavender essential oil as far as neurological health. So it's helping our nervous system regain balance. It's also neuroprotective. So when we've been exposed to a lot of toxins, whether they be physiological through our own body or from the environment or from our own emotional ick, right? Because we know when we think negative thoughts, those can be inflammatory. These essential oils contain antioxidant compounds in them. It also is the #1 studied oil for anxiety. They actually have a lavender essential oil patented over in Europe called Selexin, and it's a capsule of essential oil that people take for anxiety relief, and they've done head-to-head comparisons of lavender essential oil with prescription medications for anxiety. So it's a very powerful single essential oil. It contains over 300 compounds in one little drop of oil. So it's very effective for when somebody is stressed out. It's usually my go-to. It's gentle. Most people are familiar with it. We have frankincense oil. Depending on which chemotype and which species, right? So the chemotype is the predominant molecule in the there's various different species of frankincense, depending on which species you get of frankincense. The most common that I use is Boswellia cattari and Boswellia sacra, sacred frankincense. These two have kind of different properties, but they're also similar in that they both support neurological health. They contain these, what they call sesquiterpenes, right, which are neuroprotective molecules. And they also help mood support and emotions. Now, depending on your manufacturer, some B-Cattari can contain this molecule called insensinol, and that's a compound that adds additional neurological health. So I will use that for people that are stressed out that also need supportive neurological functioning. So that's another one that's great to use, especially if there's more of a neurological component where the brain is really tired and needs more support. I also like an immune blend, and it's known as Four Thieves blend, and that contains cinnamon, eucalyptus, rosemary, clove, and lemon. It's an ancient blend that has been passed down for generations that have said to protect from various plagues and all these different microbial invasions that occurred in ancient times. And there's various aspects to all of these different oils being combined together to help immune and respiratory health. So as they're helping the physical body, they're also uplifting to the mood and mind. We know rosemary is very stimulating to the mind. There's actually some studies, some of the compounds actually affect the memory the cholinergic neurotransmitter. It actually affects that from being broken down, so it helps memory. So that is a good blend to diffuse during times of kind of physical depletion. When someone is really stressed out, I will use that blend. So that's not really a single oil, but I pop that in anyways. And then any citrus oils contain high amounts of D-limonene, and those are supportive for their immune function. For their citrus oils also are uplifting to the mood. They also are great for digestion. So a lot of studies with citrus oils with little ones. The aroma is very helpful for them. This is more of a focus and stress relieving, anxiety relieving essential oil are the citrus oils, whereas like lavender is more calming. You wouldn't use lavender and then say sit down for an exam. And then peppermint oil is another essential oil that's great because when we get stressed out, we have a lot of digestive issues, we might feel a little more fatigued. So I will recommend peppermint oil for that. There's been studies with peppermint oil where it actually helps motivation with exercise, increases VO2 max when people inhale it. These are small studies, but they are human trials, which is pretty cool. So I'll link to that post that kind of contains the information for you guys and gals and everyone else and y'all. And I also have more essential oils where I talk about blends. And I do recommend, if you're fairly new and not that versed in essential oils, you buy from your favorite manufacturer the pre-blended essential oils that contain some of the properties of the oils that I explain in those blends, because it's very complicated and you want the molecules to work together. You don't want them to kind of cancel each other out. So there's blenders that are very well versed in that already have that down, and you can purchase those blends. So I specifically did blends for right now on abundance, joy, and hope, because I think all three of those are things that our society is having challenges with right now. And then also grounding and courage, mind, body, spirit support, and a bright future essential oil blend I just released. And I just wanted to also say I released a blog on 10 natural ways that you can just calm your body. Of course, essential oils are on there, but there's other techniques that you can use. Say if financially maybe you're not able to purchase some essential oils, breathing techniques, just basic self-care things that you can do that don't cost any money. Another one of my favorite techniques I often use a lot with essential oils is emotional freedom technique, which has validated studies for anxiety, PTSD, and many other approaches. And it's a very simple tapping technique that taps on the meridian points, the Chinese meridian points, but they're also been shown to calm the body and decrease cortisol, which is the stress hormone response. And then finally, I just wanted to say, I think we all need to give ourselves some compassion right now, some kindness, some self-care. I think what the world needs right now more than anything is acceptance and open-mindedness, and to just be open to however people are coping with this, and whatever they need to do for them, that's okay. That's what they need to do for themselves. You know, we need to do what we need to do to feel safe and take care of ourselves and take care, of our loved ones. All this judgment, all this polarization is not helping matters. There's even studies that adverse effects and events actually can change how our genes express themselves and cause more inflammation in our body. I actually wrote about that on my blog about compassion and purpose and grit to move through struggles. And, there's what they call epigenetics, right? These changes happen above the genes. So these are actually specific genetic patterns that they've, in research, deemed conserved transcriptional response to adversity genes, or the CTRA genes. And they found that when we can have more of a sense of purpose and well-being, it's a broad term for eudaimonia. I cannot pronounce it, but I'm hoping I totally slaughter that. That is very helpful in decreasing the inflammatory responses of adverse effects. So just think about it. If you're already stressed and then you get all judgmental and scared and frightened and start talking nasty, whether it be through trolling on social media or even with your loved ones, that's going to cause more inflammation in your body. It's going to negatively affect your health, and it could potentially isolate you, which is not great at all. We know that perceived isolation is the #1 risk factor for mortality for cardiovascular disease. So let's keep this in mind. Let's just try to love one another, be gentle, use our essential oils, use our self-care tips, and I hope you found this video helpful. I kind of just got on and started talking as an idea just to reconnect with y'all, and if you do find it helpful, I'd love for you to like this video or give me comments and see what else you'd like to hear about. I'd love to help you out with that. Thank you for listening, and I will speak to you real soon. Thanks, guys.